This lesson is a brief overview of the structure of parliaments in both Tasmania and Australia. Let's start with the Tasmanian parliamentary structure. It is a bicameral system of parliament. That means there's two houses of parliament. In Tasmania, we've got the House of Assembly, which is the lower house, the Legislative Council, which is the upper house, and of course we've got the Governor of Tasmania, where the royal assent of bills when they pass through both of houses of parliament are given. Let's look at the lower house, the House of Assembly. That's where the government of the day is formed. In Tasmania we've got 25 members. Currently there's 15 Liberals, 7 Labor and 3 Greens. They are elected from 5 electorates. There are 5 people, 5 members from each electorate, making up 25. And here you have got the names of electorates. We currently are in Bass and Lyons. Some of us may be in Braddon. The people down south near Hobart and Denison and in Franklin. Elections occur every 3 years. Now let's turn to the Legislative Council. As I've already said, it's the upper house. It only has 15 members. They occur in different electorates, different boundaries. In Tasmania, the majority of members are independent. That means they're not aligned to any political party. There's a number of Labor and Liberal members, but they are very much in the minority. Its main function is a house of review to scrutinise legislation that comes through from the lower house, and their election cycle is every 6 years. The Governor of Tasmania is the Queen's representative for Tasmania. This is the first time we've had a woman as a Governor of Tasmania. Her name's Kate Warner. She has got her main role is to sign the bills once they pass through both houses of Tasmania to give royal assent. She also dissolves Parliament. That means that when a Parliament comes to an end of its parliamentary term, or in some extreme instances when there's a vote of no confidence, then she will get advice from the Premier of the day to dissolve the Parliament. It means that it's no more and fresh elections need to be called, and she also swears and appoints in new ministers. Let's have a look at the Parliament of Australia. So we've covered Tasmania, and it's set up very similarly. As you can see, we've got the Parliament of Australia. We've got it's a bicameral system. We've got the lower house, the House of Representatives, the Senate, plus in this case the Governor General, who is the Queen's representative, in a very similar structure as it is for Tasmania. The roles and responsibilities of Parliament. The first one is that it represents the people of Australia. It makes and proposes Australian law in relation to a whole lot of bills, a lot of issues that occur in society. It's also there to scrutinise actions of government. So the Parliament is a separate power to the executive power, which can scrutinise actions of Parliament to keep them accountable. And this is where the government of the day is formed in the lower house. Let's look at more detail. This is a picture of the House of Representatives. In this house there's 150 electorates Australia-wide. You can see them all there. There's a lot more in the populous areas. As I've already mentioned to you, in Tasmania we've got 5 electorates. There they are there. The little one there is Denison and so on. There are 150 members all up, and it's basically representative of how the population really is divided amongst the whole country. So New South Wales, which is the most populous state, has the most members in Parliament. The House of Reps, it is also called. As I said, it's the lower house. It's got 150 seats from 150 electorates. There's 5 in Tasmania, which I've mentioned. Currently, the formation of the government is we're being ruled by the Liberal National Coalition. They've got 90 members. There's 55 Labor, 5 independent members, and the majority, usually about the majority of the bills are initiated here, of which 80% come from Cabinet alone. So they are the drivers of change and creating new legislation. There's 5 electorates in Tasmania, as I've already mentioned. Currently, we've got 3 Liberal Party members, 1 Labor and 1 Independent member sitting in the House of Representatives. In the north, in the Bass, Braddon and Lyons, they are represented by Liberal Party members. Let's have a look the broader role of what the House of Representatives do. They form government, I've already mentioned that. They decide on matters of national interest. They are supposed to represent the interests of the people in their electorates. They propose, debate and vote on bills and amendments in Parliament. They examine issues in committees. Sometimes more information needs to be gained. So there's a whole number of committees, parliamentary committees, that investigate issues. And as I said before, they're also there to scrutinise government. Now let's turn our attention to the Senate, which is a different colour, which looks very much the same. In Australia, we've got 6 states, the original states, so each got 12 members, and the 2 territories got 2 members each, so that's Canberra, ACT, and the Northern Territory. The rest of the states have got 12 members each, so that makes up 76 members of senators in the Senate. Currently, as it stands, 33 from the coalition, Liberal National parties, 26 from Labor, 9 from the Greens and 8 independents. You can see here the coalition does not have the majority vote here, and quite often they have to rely on other senators, mostly from the independent side, to help them pass legislation. As you can see, the Senate, the role is very much the same. It decides matters on national interest. They represent the interests in the people of their states. Quite often they represent the interest of their party, which I'll discuss in a little while. They propose and debate on bills and amendments, just like the lower house. They can also propose bills. They also sit on committees, and they're also there to scrutinise executive government. The Senate's there to scrutinise legislation. It is called the State's House, but quite often what happens is that senators vote on party lines rather than on state lines. So that means that the value of the State's House is in that sense devalued. It is the same way we scrutinise legislation, also reviewing legislation to ensure that legislation or the bills that pass through the Senate are rigorous in terms of the intention of what they need to be. As I mentioned earlier, that the government does not have the majority in the Senate. That means that we currently exist in a hostile Senate. So they have to work hard with the crossbenchers, and sometimes they even pass bills with the support of the opposition, which is the Labor Party. And as I already mentioned, they can initiate bills, and then if it gets initiated in the upper house, it then goes to the lower house, and then it must be passed in both houses of Parliament. Same deal. That's given you a brief overview of the structure and the function of Tasmanian and Australian parliaments. You will be studying both these areas in more detail, as well as the process of a bill through Parliament, and as well what stages they are taken to initiate legislation, and the forces that are borne on government in order to gain their attention and to change bills or change laws as they currently stand. I hope that's been useful to you. Thanks for listening.